Welcome everybody. Good evening or good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are located and watching this session. Welcome to this session on GIS for monitoring and evaluation of sustainable land use. This is a joint Commission 3 and Commission 8 session. Commission 8 is about spatial planning and development, and I'm the chair of that commission. And the chair of Commission 3, which is about spatial data information, is Hartmut Müller. And we both will be your host tonight. But we won't do it alone. We have 5 presentations about this very relevant topic about the role of geoinformation in spatial planning processes. So I would like to, first some practical announcements. We will first have the 5 presentations, and then we will have a panel discussion where we also open the floor for you. If you have any questions for the presenters, you can use the Q&A at the right-hand side in Hopin. So please post your questions there, and then we can put them forward in question. Put the questions to the presenter. So if you have a specific question for one of the presenters, please indicate also the name to whom you are addressing the question. We have a full program tonight, so I would like to start actually with the first presentation. That's given by Mrs. Tansin Ma from Myanmar. It's about forest cover change analysis on a protected area in southern Myanmar using remote sensing and GIS technique applicants to forest conservation. So let me share the screens.
Yeah, hello.
And now I have to select the right presentation. Yes, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me, Ms. Marie. My name is Mo. I am from Myanmar. Today, I would like to talk about the forest cover change analysis on a protected area in southern Myanmar. Let me start my presentation. According to the data from Forest Resource Assessment, forests are rapidly decreasing during 25 years. Why? Let me move to the next slide. Why it is interested and chosen as my research area in southern Myanmar? It has been experiencing with several threats to forests, especially landslide cover change. The nature reserve is a biodiversity hotspot. The nature reserve is started in 2005. Long-term project, it is managed by Forest Department and financially supported by industry gas pipelines. Gas pipelines passing through the reserve forest. Let me move to the slide. As you may know, Myanmar is a multiracial country, and now there still exists major and minor ethnic conflicts, particularly in the periphery of Myanmar border. Similarly, the nature reserve has minor ethnic conflicts that can surround forest department, military, and 2 ethnic army groups, settled in the north and south part of Tiana, respectively. Shall we move to the next slide? This research was conducted based on 2 main objectives: to clarify landslide cover chain from 1990 to 2070, and to examine the effectiveness of GIS management in Myanmar. Tiana is a truly protected area dominated by tropical rainforest. There are 41 villages inside and the vicinity of protected areas. You can see the figure, the location of the starry site, pylons, and the survey pylons. Shall we move to the next slide? To achieve the two main objectives, remote sensing techniques and key informant interviews were both integrated. Firstly, forest cover assessment were carried out by separated three periods. Forest cover assessment were carried out by separated three periods to compare the situation for before and after protected. In forest area estimation, standard mathematical classification was applied to evaluate protected area management effectiveness. 10 km buffer zone was created and landscape partition assessments were conveyed. Besides, key informant interview were both integrated together with the ground truth work. Let me move to the next slide. With the aim of this research, 8 categories of LUNC were clarified. Following FAO definitions, you can see the table dense forest. From now, let me display the result portion. As I earlier described, based on 8 categories, 3 LUNC maps were produced for each study year. Dark green color represents closed forest. We can see within in 1990. Open forest is light green. We can see at Tiana zone in 2006 and 2007. Orange color shows cropland within buffer zone in 990. Purple is wooded land. Yellow color means agricultural land. Shall we go to the next slide? According to the time series data, I did compare the Nagawa chain inside the protected area. When we look at this figure, closed forest gradually decreased from 81% in 990 to 59% in 2017. In contrast, open forest cover increased, moreover agricultural land, open forest cover decreased, moreover agricultural land increased after protection in 2006. I would like to explain that in the northern part of protected area, we can see the closed forest as dark green in 990. Closed forest change to open forest light green. Gradually changed to the wooded land, scrub land. Finally, it was converted to the agricultural land. We can notice this situation found in the villages and alongside the protected area border. However, near the pylons area, there is less far from the forest deterioration. I would like to explain in the southern part. Similarly, dense forests gradually change to open forest. We can recognize forest degradation in the interior part of protected area. Agricultural land was very occur in the sediment area. Deforestation and forest degradation were both occur inside the protected area. Last part, I would like to explain the middle part of the LUNC chain. Within Myanmar Phapham, you can look at the figure. You can look at the map. Similarly, in the south part, dense forest gradually change. I would like to similarly in the agricultural deforestation. Okay. Last part, I would like to explain the middle part of LUNC chain, and then LUNC chain within Myanmar Phapham, agricultural land is remarkably getting increased after protection. IPA, dense forest cover periodically decrease even though they can monitor partially the commercial forest to other land use, for example, agricultural land. Next to the slide. When we look at the calculated results on protected areas as shown in table, similarly, deforestation rate and forest degradation rate is steadily higher. In the Myanmar Phapham zone, agricultural land is remarkably getting increased after protection inside protected area. Dense forest cover periodically decrease. They can monitor partially the commercial forest to others. Next to the next slide. Next slide. When we look at the calculated results of protected areas as shown in table. Similarly, deforestation rate and the forest degradation rate after protected is steadily higher than any rate at the time before protection. Let's go to the discussion part. Before the NR project started, the main factor is commercial logging activities that is allowed by government. After production, illegal logging extractions was still continued by ethnic army group. Forest department cannot fully control such kind of activities. From this story, annual deforestation rate after production is relatively higher than any when we compare with analysis, their deforestation rates are pretty higher than DNR estimated from this research. However, DNR project management needs to be because and to send it based on the This story revealed that inside the protected area, deforestation and forest degradation was still occur after protection. It began from ethnic conflicts between the resource extraction of ethnic army groups and the conservation work. Yeah, I would like to conclude. I would like to conclude and discuss this slide. Sorry for the late. I would like to sum up based on the main finding. This study revealed that inside the protected area, deforestation and forest degradation was still occur after production. It begins from the ethnic conflicts between the resource extraction of ethnic army groups and conservation work by forest development. It is a huge impact on protected area management. I would like to release some suggestions on the next slide. In the near future, the government should struggle to fulfill these following activities. Firstly, powerful peace agreement should be prioritized. After achieving the peace agreement, demarcating the village boundary should be carried out to dominate the agricultural land expansion and values increments and to increase the forest cover. That is all of my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind listening. I will welcome your questions and comments.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, at some points the audio was a little bit some hiccups, some interruptions, but overall it's very interesting presentation, and I think it's good to be able to monitor the deforestation. And it struck me that while you protect actually the forest, then still deforestation is ongoing. Yeah, I'm perhaps we could have later on in the panel discussion, we can discuss it a little bit more. So thank you for your presentation, and let's move to the next presentation. And now I have to struggle, of course, with all my with all my screens. So I would like to invite Anouk van Stockum to the stage to give her presentation. It's also related to deforestation. She will talk about an innovative early warning system to tackle illegal deforestation. So Anouk, I would like to invite you to share your screen and give the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Maria. Give me a second. One moment. Sorry about this.
Well, it can happen. I was also struggling with if you open the presentation, then suddenly you don't see Hopin anymore. So then you have...
Do you see my screen now?
No, not yet. Yeah, now it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, yes, full screen also?
Yes, it's perfectly in presentation mode. Yeah, so okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Thank you, Marije, and hello everyone. I'm Anouk van Stockholm. I work for WWF, the Netherlands office, and today I'm presenting about an innovative early warning system to tackle illegal deforestation. We also wrote a paper about it, and I didn't do that alone. I did that together with my colleagues from WWF Netherlands, as well as the US office, and also with Wageningen University and SAR-Vision. Oh, and now it doesn't move. Yeah. So we all know that there's a global issue concerning deforestation with 19,000 square kilometers per each year being deforested, causing lots of biodiversity loss and CO2 emission, and also a lot of disrupting of livelihoods. So with our early warning system, we try to address this issue, and doing so also contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals 15, which is life on land. Oh, okay, I'm missing one. I'm missing one slide. Let's just tell you, we are not doing this alone. We actually work with a consortium together with the partners of, I already mentioned Wageningen and SAR-Vision. And we have also some tech partners like Deloitte and AWS with whom we work. And besides that consortium, which is the AWS global team, we also work with local governments and local universities to really ensure local adaptation of the system and really a local ownership of the system itself. Now we come to this slide. So this is an example of Borneo, a chain of deforestation. We start with on the left side with 0 and with the pristine forest, but there we see quite often that it starts then with 1 with road and channel development, which is opening up the forest and making it more accessible, and also increasing illegal logging. And the illegal logging really takes the valuable wood out. And after that is done, we actually go to step 3, and that's land clearing and conversion, where like large forests are being cleared, and that's actually where traditional monitoring comes in. That's where it's actually seen from by traditional monitoring systems that has been deforestation. But this is actually when the damage is already done. So we have made the case for change, that we want to predict deforestation. So we want to actually be ahead and actually step in between step 0 and 1, and actually intervene at that point, because we can predict where and when deforestation will happen. And here is actually that other slide. I thought it was in the other order, with our partners. So I skip this for now. So we start with a strong technological foundation underlying EWS. And that actually begins with historic satellite images, which is Sentinel-1 radar data, which can like penetrate clouds. So we can have really a near real-time monitoring system there. And we combine that with other open source data like elevation, population density, and this all feeds into, and I'm now at step 3, a machine learning model, and that will predict ahead of time, like, okay, where is the deforestation is likely to happen. So then I come to number 4, which it generates a map where deforestation is a real risk from happening. So I mentioned it predicts into the future, 6 months into the future. And the models that we have are currently having an 80% user's accuracy and 50% detection rate. We tested multiple models, and in the end, the ensemble trees, the XGBoost was the best performer. So that's the one we are applying now. But EWS is not just a tech part, not just AI. We actually look at the whole system from start to end, from really the data collection just mentioned in the AI model, and then we actually take those results into a dashboard. And that's what we see here at step 1, that we have a dashboard with the predictions, the contextual data, and in 2, we see that the error manager, they can prioritize the predictions. And we're going to step 3, can make a plan to go into the field and go investigate those at those locations to really understand what's happening on the ground, and if we can already see the first signs of deforestations or activities going on, or maybe nothing is visible yet, but to understand the local context. So that's actually what happens in 4, that people really go to the location. And in 5, the investigation report is made. This is also being put into the dashboard where everything is collected. And there the error manager can think of what kind of interventions can we do to prevent the deforestation from happening. And in 6, we see that the intervention plan is carried out, and it's going to be monitored for the results. So imagine being in Borneo, and this is actually what we see here. Is an image, a satellite image of Borneo, where green is forest, red is deforestation or deforested, and orange is degradation. And deforestation and degradation is really over a longer time span. So next, we will actually see our predictions. And these predictions are squares. They are 480 by 480 meters. We call them hot zones, and that is where we expect that, or the models expect to predict that the deforestation will happen in the future. And now we're going to see, because this is a prediction done in the past, now we're going to see what actually happened from the satellite imagery. That's the yellow spots. Those are now deforested. So that's like actually the what came true actually. So what we see is that in the right top corner, we see that was actually quite, we saw a concentration of predictions, and we see also now there's actually a concentration of actual deforestation there. So that would have been 6 months ago, it would have been a good place to go to and actually investigate and see what kind of intervention we could have done there. We do also see that there are yellow spots outside of the squares. That's actually the 50% detection rates I was talking about. Not everything is captured by the model yet. What we do to decrease this uncertainty is that we have, like, every month we are predicting, and in that way we capture more and more places where we expect deforestation to happen. This is actually one of the dashboards. This is an example from Suriname. And we see the predictions, but now in yellow, orange, and red. They indicate the likelihood of the prediction to become true. This is actually one of the items we're actually still developing. We just actually released a new version where we, instead of having this kind of layout, we are more looking for like indicating where we expect the most damage to be done, which will help in prioritizing where to go to and where to investigate. And here you see also in blue the pilot areas, and in red dots are actually the investigation points where the team went to. And the image shows a photo they took when they were in the field, actually showing what they found on that location. So currently we have 3 pilots going on in Indonesia, Gabon, and Suriname. And they are all a few months in, and we're actually getting some promising results already, and also some feedback from the teams there. And the Indonesia team is saying that the predictions really help them to reroute their patrols and use their resources and capacity more efficiently. The Gabon team, they are more looking currently at predictions that happened in the past and seeing now if they actually came true to build their trust in the system. Whereas Suriname actually went into the field and did not see many first signs of deforestation yet. Except for this image, they did see some, but not in a lot of places they did not see the first signs. So they are still like really curious to see in 6 months ahead in time, because they took recent predictions to see in 6 months if indeed they find more deforestation happening. So it's really still at the phase where we're building the trust and the adoption of the system. So I mentioned the 3 countries where we're doing pilots now, but there's worldwide a lot more potential for an early warning system. So we're looking in the future how can we scale up to other regions as well. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you much for your presentation. Normally we would have an applause from the audience, but yeah, I don't have a fake one. Yeah, so we have to do it like this. No, you touch upon many aspects, and well, a lot of questions come to my mind. But I think you clearly showed the societal relevance of such an early warning system, so that agencies can spend their resources, which are often very limited, in the right location, so that you can really do something to tackle deforestation. And of course, from a planning perspective, I'm very curious what kind of interventions you can do, and on which rule they are based, if it's policy or law, or what is the legal basis for the intervention. But perhaps we can touch upon it in a discussion. So thank you so much again.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I would like, for time reasons, because we have a full program, I would like to switch to the next presentation given by Kari Stranda. And now I have to do 2 things at the same time, because I will share the presentation, and I also try to, yes, there it is. And then I will also try to introduce the topic. Oh, no. Well, you have to do it yourself, Kari. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay. My name is Kari Strande. I have been a part of the FIG family since I joined in Commission 3 as a Norwegian delegate in 2001. I have recently ended my position in the Ministry of Local Government and Modernization, but I hope to be able to follow up my FIG network also in my retirement situation. I will give a short presentation of the Norwegian geospatial strategy that was decided by the Norwegian government by the end of 2018, and how GI and GIS plays important role in preparedness and analysis of risk and vulnerability. Norway has an extensive and advanced foundation for access to geospatial information. This is our geospatial data infrastructure. This infrastructure has been developed to a great extent through the agreement-based administrative cooperation Norway Digital, where all the municipalities and about 50 government offices is taking part in sharing and standardization this system. It's more about it in the paper. UNGGIM emphasizes the importance of good geospatial knowledge base in order to achieve sustainable development goals. The strategy, the current Norwegian strategy, agrees essentially with the UN initiative in this area. Next slide, please. With the national geospatial strategy towards 2025, the government will continue to develop the infrastructure. The strategy is based on the fact that everything happens somewhere. You can find the full strategy by the link in the summary of the paper. The vision is that Norway shall be at the forefront in the use of geospatial information. And you here see also the objectives. I won't read that, but it's that it should be important for social needs, and the framework conditions should be predictable and well suited to the challenge of the digital society. You can take the next. The strategy aims at an efficient flow of data between sectors and levels, streamlining data capture to the infrastructure, shared solutions for management and utilization of big data technology to acquire greater knowledge. The cooperation must meet the new demands, and there must be appropriate arenas for public-private cooperation. Good interaction will be a success factor for this strategy. To follow up the strategy, there is an action plan with more than 50 actions for improvement of the infrastructure, public-private cooperation, standardization, communication for better preparedness, etc. Last year, we launched a prize for good examples of value for society by use of this infrastructure. And now we have gathered several examples, and it's repeated this year. So it's important to get some very good examples to show to the politicians to be able to fulfill these issues. There will be an evaluation of the strategy during next year when it's mid-time to 2025. Okay, next slides, please. This is more an illustration of the data flow, and access is showed here, and it can be more studied in the full paper. So you can just drop to the next slide. It's of great importance that the various data sets can easily be accessed and used seamless. Here is an illustration of data from various sources for use in land use planning and impact assessment, which was developed already, the idea in the mid-90s, but more now really also the technology cope with it. So next slide, please. New threats and vulnerability arise. Climate change affects the probability and consequences of natural events, such as floods, landslide, extreme weather, and storm surges. Local authorities must take this into account, including in spatial plans. Risk and vulnerability analysis are important, and updated geospatial information is necessary for the assessment of threat situation and the ability to act quickly and appropriately. The municipality has several responsibility here, and according to several laws. Next, please. Norway is exposed for natural disasters, and over 2,000 people are killed by natural disasters the last 150 years. It's expected 10 bigger slides in the coming 50 to 100 years. Geospatial data, including laser data, gives new opportunities to evaluate the risks for landslide. It shows rivers and streams more exactly and gives better knowledge for future protection against rock and landslide. The need for such models is also to get an overview of landslide volume and distribution for original terrain. Furthermore, the laser data are useful for the work of reopening the river course. Next slide, please. Digital map system is crucial for quick response with various occurrences. In the alarm centers, it's important to have a system that enables quick registration of the occurrence, where it happens, who is reporting, where are the rescue units, and how to respond and give good information during a rescue situation. Next, please. I quickly jump through the next two slides, but they show some stage and data flow with use of GIS in risk and vulnerability analysis, and the know-how and various actors playing important roles in the situation of natural disaster. You can take the next one. So it's just one example, and many actors have to work closely together and share information in a core platform. One of the more than 50 tasks following up the action plan for the national strategy is to make a better joint preparedness system. Next, please. In my paper, I have mentioned some examples of use of the infrastructure combined with other information to be able to act after an accident, like the Chernobyl accident that brought rainfall with cesium. Another example that helped with the location of source of infection in a Legionella epidemic. The last year, we have seen many good management systems to help locate and manage the outspread of COVID-19. Two of the examples for the last year competition for a prize was in fact working with systems for assisting in the pandemic. Next, please. By the end of 2020, we had a big landslide in Gjerdrum, close to Oslo, with a loss of 10 lives, both in the warning situation, the rescue situation, and in the follow-up. Geospatial information and systems has been of great importance. A Norwegian company has developed an analyzing dashboard to help the management and information in such situation, where you also can gather a lot of information, and you can slide to see the situation before and after the slide, and connect to many other items and databases. In the uploaded video, I tried to show a warning system that is built up to simulate consequences from a coming rockfall in Norway. However, this video uploaded is very amputated due to the limit of 4 minutes. If it's of interest, I can put a link or an address to this simulation because it's available on YouTube. Okay, then I stop my presentation.
I have to unmute my mic. Thank you so much for the presentation, and I think the video, yeah, you can share the link now with the participants in Hop-in, or I can ask the FIG crew to share it if you put it in our chat. And okay. I'm not sure if you have submitted a video, but that has also been included in the technical program of the working week, so people can also check it out.
Yes.
There. Yeah, so they can check it out there then.
Yes, but that one is very amputated, so it doesn't give so much. Okay.
Oh, because of the 4-minute time restriction. Yeah. Yes, I understand. Well, it's very interesting that you really take hazards as a starting point, and how you can use geo-information for this. And I think some of the geo-information can be, well, used in advance to predict. But there is also the other aspect of real-time geo-information when something happens. And that's, of course, more challenging for the geodata infrastructure to have everything in place. So thank you for your presentation. And now I have a lot of slides on my screen. So let's move on to the next presentation. Well, actually by my colleague Magdalena Grus. She's also working for the Dutch Cadastre Land Registry and Mapping Agency. And she will give a presentation about the digital twin of the living environment. And they will use a use case of the city Zwolle and also explain the role of Cadastre in this. So please, Magdalena, the floor is yours, and don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you very much, Marije. Welcome, everyone. My name is Magdalena Grus. I'm the Innovation Advisor by the Dutch Cadastre. And together with my colleague Tony Baving from Cadastre, Lucas Groes van Wageningen University, and colleague Marcel Brugger from Municipality in Zwolle, we wrote a paper with the title Towards Digital Twin of the Living Environment. Let me tell you about our experience. So for those who are not completely familiar with the term digital twin, I prepared some summarizing for this definition. Why summarizing? Because we really can hour-long discuss what is digital twin and what is not. I would say, like innovator, I see it as a GIS, but in the very fashion and modern code or form. So let me introduce our definition from digital twin. We see it as a smart, dynamic, and digital representation of the physical world. And it is the representation we can see, so above the ground, and also very important what we cannot see, so it's under the ground. And it's smart because you can use it to calculate, predict, simulate, but also monitor the living environment. And the dynamic because of the possibility to use live stream data from objects such as sensors, but also live stream data from citizens. So think about VGI. And we see digital twin as a tool, very smart tool, that help the physical world become healthier, safer, and more sustainable. So we started with some research questions like, okay, what are the added value of the digital twin? What do we need to create it? And of course, from my perspective, from my role as a member of the cadastre, worker of the cadastre, innovator, what is the role of the cadastre in creating digital twins? So cadastre have two ambitions. Well, there are more ambitions, but I will mention about these two. This is geoinformation for everyone. And that means that we put the user in the center. So it's very important that everyone with different backgrounds can understand and use geoinformation. And the second I would like to point out is the integral object registration. And it's a kind of transition from 2D maps to 3D models. So we started with, okay, let's define the problem. What is the problem in the municipality of Zwolle? Would like to build a digital twin, but let's start from, okay, what problem we would like to solve. So we defined the problem. The problem was the flood. And where is the biggest problem? So I will refer to what Kari just said with her previous presentation, that everything happens somewhere. So the question is, where is the biggest problem? So we also use some maps, 2D maps, to define, okay, where is the biggest issue? And we combine different sorts of data. On the picture right, you can see photos from the citizens. So we also add some voluntary information to our digital twin model. And the two blue points are the sensor who measure the area, the air around this place. So we decided, let's check what we have, what is possible at this moment, what kind of data are provided by the Dutch cadastre, what are the data provided by the municipality, what data do we need, what data do we miss, which data are easily to find, and which data we really have to struggle to find the source. What we have found, we found quite a lot. So we made quite a nice model. We also find some information about the sewage system. So we combine all together. So things we can see above the ground, things we cannot see under the ground. As an innovator, we use different approach for the innovation. And in this case, we use approach of high five. This is the some parts, and one of the parts phases is the kickoff. let's define the problem, let's divide the who is responsible for what part of the project. Then we have a time to prepare the data, to prepare goods to this project. Then is one of my favorite is a focus week. So we sit all together, really focus on one problem, on one subject, with the people from different backgrounds, from different organizations, and we work together. We start the day from the aim of the day. We aim the day with the, okay, what we achieved today and what are the plans for the next day. After 1 week, there is a wrap up. Let's summarize, let's make it visible for our colleagues, because of course we would like to share our findings with everyone. And then we say final presentation, where we try to invite so many people as possible. So the first reflections I would like to share with you. Why it's first reflection? Because it was one of the use cases, one of the first use cases we made. Later on, we thought, no, we would love to research it more. So we did another few. But first reflection were, we noticed that the digital twin is a very powerful tool. The tool that actually is understood by almost everyone. But if we talk about a problem like flood, we built a digital twin for this problem. So we believe there are more than one digital twins. We had a lot of discussion with the colleagues, people also from other countries. During the conferences, they were a little bit skeptic about the digital twin, and they said, no, it's just a new 3D, you know, it's nothing new. But we claimed, yeah, digital twin is not 3D. We believe that 3D is a very important part of digital twin, but it's not the same. We also claim that digital twin is not a smart city, because we also heard this kind of statement. Very nice. But we believe also that it's a tool that helps cities and people be and act smarter. And we believe that digital twin can help and can be a platform for integration of the static and live stream data. And we also noticed that what makes it powerful as a tool is the user friendliness. The visualization that everybody understands is really, really important. Went everything smoothly? No, of course not. And we had some, there were some challenges on this path. We noticed the data is dispersed. It took us some time to find where are they. I have to say that by PayDayOK, that is a place where you get a lot of data, governmental good quality data in the Netherlands. Maybe you've heard about it, PayDayOK, and also a lot of data from the key registers. But still, there are some data needed, especially unique data for different problems. So we are quite far, but we are not there yet. Data actuality is also an issue. We noticed that there's also a limitation in the data formats. And from Cadastre, we also deliver key registers, like topographical key register. But really to use it, it's a huge amount of data, and it's not always easy to verify which data do we need and what not. So if you don't have a good software, you are overloaded with the data. The issue is also standardization in this moment, knowledge limitation of the huge differences between municipalities. But we believe, and digital twin makes a lot of chances to become an important tool that combine people, different stakeholders, to support the dialogue between them, that provides really nice insights, and also help to sharp the problem. And what we also notice with the application and with the photo you notice, it's a really good tool to increase the involvement of the residents. Yeah, dus there are 4 findings out. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. Well, there's a lot to tell and to discuss. I recognize the quest for more data, but also the barriers that come along with it, because you need to understand the data before you can really take conclusions about is it relevant or not, is the quality good enough, about the timeliness of the data. So, but nevertheless, I have seen some examples. Well, you did not mention it in this presentation, but I have seen some really cases where they applied the digital twin concept in a planning environment where they wanted to, I think, have a redevelopment site within a city, and then all the planning information, regulations, and how they integrated in the digital twin, and how it helped the various stakeholders by getting an understanding of the complexity of the situation. So, well, this is a very, it's an innovative application, I would say. It's still very much developing, so we are not yet there. But that's the challenge, but also the nice thing about it, I would say. So it's very nice that you could share it here in this session. And we have later on a discussion, so where we can perhaps touch upon it and go more in depth. So thank you again, and I will check I will check if there's any polls posted. I cannot see them yet, but we had prepared 2 polls. So if you can keep an eye on it, if they're there, then you could answer them. So let me go then to the last presenter in line. We have many female presenters today, and I'm pleased with that, with the gender balance. Let's move on to the last presentation given by Rosario Casanova. It's about a methodological guide to carrying out planning processes successfully using geoinformatics and prospective tools. And I also should mention that you have submitted a peer-reviewed paper, just like the first presenter, Tan Sin Ma. So, everyone can find it in the technical program. For now, I would like to give you the floor to summarize your paper. So,
I will try to do my best, Marcy. Thank you for the invitation. Okay, I will share my screen. Here it is. Well, okay. I'm going to present my PhD thesis part, at least the part of it, the products. So the goals for that were, the objective was to develop a methodology that covers, like, is in a way is different from the one that we were discussing, the other presentations, the other articles. It is refers specifically in a way in how to improve urban planning. So with that in mind, I start analyzing in order to see in order to cover at least the empty space between the traditional view of urban planning, improving with the geographic information, with the future georeference scenarios. So the product was a methodology that combines the prospective studies and the geospatial analysis. In order to validate this methodology, we prepare a plugin in an open source GIS, GBC, in order to build prospective scenarios based mainly in geographic information. So, as the main idea of this is, of course, we have all the data. With the data, we are going to give to prospective a team in order to prepare communicating with users. That's very important when you are planning to have a continuous staff and a group working in order to make decisions together, in order to, with the data, generate the scenarios that will let decision makers and planners in order to prepare the policies and the plan. For that, of course, is the most important, is to have acquired geographic information that we sustain, that would be the basis in order to make those scenarios based on the prospective science. For that, the proposed methodology was mainly have 3 stages. One, the formulation, the processing, and the management stage. In the first one, they have different phases: the preparatory, the analysis and diagnosis, and the proposal, that I will discuss that in more detail. In the other one is the processing stage, in which, depending on the requirements and the legal point of view, how we are going to present that in each of our countries. And finally, in order to have the management stage, that is really, really very important, not only to prepare plans, not only to think about them, that is a hard work, but also, and that is so related with the commissions that we are talking today, both of them, in order to have monitoring indicators. We should include them from the beginning, not only to have that, also to prepare in order to capture all the data that will be so important, so necessary, in order to know how we are keep moving, in order to know if we are going well, we are not going wrong, if we have to do something in order to change them in the future. So going with this, in the first preparatory phase, we propose first to have in institutionalization the planning team. We need to have a team, but with decision makers, politicians, and so on, should be aware of the relevance of having a team working together. After that, we have to identify which are the main problems or the objective of that planning process. We should be very careful about identifying which is that planning object from the territorial, thematic, and temporary point of view. So what I said is we need for that, with that group working together, to identify or to create that current territorial model. Of course, we are not able to work to the whole reality. We model based on geographic information and based on different models in order to create our current territorial model, in order to, with the strategies and public policies that we are going to design, in order to obtain the future that we want. This is so important because with that in mind, if you have a current territorial model, of course that even the policies are great, they will not have the results that we expect. So we are not going to have that future that we desire or we expect to. So the next phase is related to analysis and diagnostic of that. So this is, I designed three phases of that. It's 3 steps to be done. First is the current territorial model, to select that. For that, we should identify that is a really hard work in order to identify which are the real key factors, which are the ones that really determine the territorial components, the behavior of that territory, of that region. So we should, with that in mind, we should discuss, we should create, of course, there are different ways of doing this, in order to prepare to have that current territorial model. Later, with that, we should think, and that's why perspective is so important, in order to have which are the behaviors of the future. Okay, within that, this is the one that it is so robust, that comes from the past and maybe will keep in the future. But also thinking on prospective science, we should think about those that we don't expect. We really don't know what will going to happen. We don't expect that they happen in the future, but we should have that in mind. For example, the pandemic, okay? With that is a new reality, but we should be open that those things can happen. With all in mind, we can create and we can agree as a group, with the community also, about which is the future that we want to construct. So after defining the vision of the future, we should think, okay, what is going to happen? As I told you in the beginning, I validate, and of course that all this information is in the article. it is published there, so you can see, or of course you can contact me. But I want also to share this. There is a structure, is a plugin that it was made in GBSIG, that it has all the structure in order how to prepare those prospective scenarios. This is an example of different possibilities that happen. So the other stage was the processing stage. In order we have to think which are the requirements, the local regulations, in order to prepare that document, that plan. Also, we need to communicate. It's so important when we decide a plan, if we really want that to be applied in our reality, that the community is involved in that. Otherwise, it's like a plan that comes to them, but you never know how it comes. So we should be including all the community in each of those stages, of those steps. So, and the last was the management stage. That was so important because we need to have baseline model. We need to evaluate the impact of what happens in each of different steps. But also, this is so important because it gives us the starting point for the monitor process. Sometimes we think, okay, we have those indicators and so on, but we need to have it before the plan starts moving on. Otherwise, we are just measuring, for example, thinking from the economic point of view. If we have the plan and we have different changes of different types of uses of land, that really, from the beginning that you give the news, everybody knows that. So that is included in the value of the land. So the baseline model and the baseline information is so important. We need to establish indicators also referring both to the way that the plan was implemented and how it impacts to the different objectives. And we should be measuring all of those indicators. Also thinking in the SDG, they should be measured periodically in order not only to evaluate the magnitude of the impacts, also in order to be able to make the adjustments to the plan that we propose. So some of the final thoughts, that is so necessary to raise awareness among the stakeholders, the governments, in order to the advantage of using spatial information data in order to make good land plannings. Otherwise, and with proper and quality and good quality spatial data is so relevant and is important to have. But we detect that is a really a lack of awareness of that relevance. Also, of course, that is to have the statistical data vinculated with all the geographic territory, and that should be updated periodically. And we also, from the government and from all the officials and politicians, we should try to let them know the relevance and the importance of giving financial policy, to have a strategy of collection of the data in order to have it in a sustained way, in order to be able to have observatory, in order to monitor all the land and the region that we're working on. Of course, that comes from my side of academic and the chair of the academic network of UNCC Americas. So I'm completely worried about the training of new generation of professionals related to land planning, but also to prospective techniques and geometric tools. We also detect that sometimes there were land plannings, they have a great knowledge about this, but they are still not have the same information, the same knowledge related to the use of geographic information, and of course a lack of prospective technology. Another point is to promote the creation and consolidation of the spatially enabled society. That is, of course, something that comes from FIC too, that is required in order to make all the societies be more involved and really know and apply the potentialities of the use of spatial data for the benefits. So it's really important that everybody knows, and that also depends on us in order to let everybody knows about this relevance. In order to fulfill this objective, it's necessary to train the community on the concept of spatiality, so they can interact and also decide and also knock the door in order to ask, okay, what about, and there is some works related with this, about the CEO law, to have the right of having all the information, share reference, and all the information from the geographic point of view. So thank you very much. I tried to hurry in order to be in time, so you can contact me if you want. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to listen to your presentation. I think it's a very relevant topic. I know as well, I have a background in spatial planning, and we were discussing, developing scenarios for the long term, strategic scenarios in spatial planning, what we could expect for the future. And then we had a very broad, open, diverging, range of scenarios, so to say. And it was very difficult to really grasp or underpin the underlying principles in a more statistical, mathematical way. And I think now with geospatial sector really maturing over the last 10, 20 years, and specifically this part, now it really allows to really also have a more analyzed or argumented development of those scenarios, and not only also being able to visualize it, and it's a huge opportunity, I would say, that really evolved over the last 10, 20 years.
I think that also it comes to more credibility to making scenarios, because I think that is the point, because on other times, okay, it's just you suppose, not that's reality. We should do that. So it's amazing. Thank you.
Well, now I would like also to give the floor to Hartmut Müller, the co-chair of this session. He is the geospatial specialist expert, I would say. So he will lead the discussion. But before we move on to the discussion, I would also like to highlight or emphasize that we normally receive so many papers really about applications of geoinformation for spatial planning, that there was so many papers this year as well that we had to make a selection for this session. But please also have a look in the technical program where you can find all other papers that were submitted, and there's quite a lot. So I would like to take the opportunity now also to ask you to, if you're interested, to have an eye on the technical program and also check out the other papers that were submitted but did not have the chance to present during this working week. So Hartmut, let me check. I think the polls are not there, but let me check again. No, there's no polls. So we have to skip that part. I would like to, invite you to start the panel discussion.
Yes, can we have, best would be to have all presenters on stage. Is it possible? Yes, great. Thanks a lot. So it's a pleasure seeing you all here. And it makes again very clear, what did you say, Mariah? The gender balance. I was very impressed by your view of gender balance.
Well, okay, is this over the whole FIG working week? You're surrounded by women, yes. Take your chance this time.
Bad, not at all.
It doesn't happen so often at the FIG. Normally the men are, there's more men than women on the stage. So
sure, that's the way in our engineering business, I would even say, and I'm very happy to see so many great skilled women here. Okay, that's one remark. Perhaps we should have somebody should take a screenshot of that. Please do so. I have no, yeah, it would be too much for me, but please do so and share it with us. Okay, so thanks a lot for these presentations. And as Maria mentioned, I'm looking always a bit through the geospatial lens, and everything pointed in a similar direction. But I would say I would like to start with some questions from the Q&A section. Yeah, first was Marcus Marine asked a question for Tanzin. How did you standardize between years for differences in satellite footage? Can you comment on that?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, thank you for your questions. Yes, I would like to answer this question. I choose in my research, I choose the year 2070, 2006, and 1990. This research comes from one chapter of my master thesis. It was taken. My master thesis was taken during 2016 and 2018. So I choose the 2070 year, and I would like to investigate the management effectiveness of PA. So the initial research was initiated in 2005. 2060, I need to analyze after production and before production. I decided that 2060 years of satellite image. Another 990 satellite is my study area was located in the tropical rainforest and also beside the offshore area. I just select the 990 here depending on the lens, cloud cover, and quality of lens and image. I did choose many years from 2000. 995 to 990. So I cannot find the less cloud cover. They was dominated by the more cloud cover, so I cannot study it very well. So I did to the 990 here. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks a lot for your answer. I have another question. Yeah, struggling with the windows here. From Guru Foss Gabrielsen. Hope I pronounce not too bad. So he writes, thank you for an interesting presentation at Anouk. Question for Anouk. Did you experience any differences between the planning systems in your pilot countries in terms of implementing your early warning system? You mentioned this, I think these, as far as I remember, these three countries, Indonesia, Gabon, Suriname, if I got it right.
Correct.
The early warning systems, the question is, was there differences between the planning system, so in terms of implementing your warning system?
Yes. Well, starting off from the model, we actually already have different tweaking of the model per country. So we see different drivers driving the deforestation. But concerning the spatial planning differences in governance is that we do see like different types of complexities with the governance. So and also different complexities with the and unclarities with the mandates that people have in the system. So, for example, in Gabon, it's much more clear who has which mandate than, for example, in Indonesia, and that is also causing some pilots to go faster than other pilots. But actually to go into like the spatial planning itself is actually one of the next steps where we're gonna do more like we go from pilot more towards integration of the system in the whole country, also upscaling. So there we will have more vision on and insight in how the different spatial planning processes work.
Yes, and it came to my mind that you have to have a close cooperation also with well, how to say, with law enforcement also, because so well, there must be a will to take your results and to go out to the fields and so on, and so otherwise it's, well,
Yep.
it's nice but has no consequences. So how about that in all these different countries?
Yeah, so we actually have like a criteria list beforehand to see where we're actually going to do pilots, and we do some kind of socialization also with the government and see where there is interest at all in the system, and only then we go ahead and start with the piloting, and we actually really involve also these stakeholders in the whole development phase. So there is indeed a base of trust and adoption also by these stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. For Kari, I did not see a question in the Q&A, but let me ask Kari. So traditionally, SDIs are, well, not so much oriented towards how to say, towards very high dynamics of data change. Now, when we are talking about disasters, landslides, and so on, pandemics, these are highly dynamic events. And this is normally more the domain of emergency services. They are used to these events, of course. So don't you see this puts a huge challenge for SDIs, starting with well, it's Friday afternoon, and if an error in the database occurs, the administrator comes back on Monday morning, and if something in between happens, well, it's as it is. So can you comment on that?
Well, there is different solutions, and you have alert systems that are working 24/7. But it's a combination of about being on an alert, knowing where things can happen. But of course, we have had situations in the fjords in Norway that one small community is isolated, and the communication is broken, the electricity is broken. So that sometimes you have to use helicopters. The telephone company has, in some cases, put down a new base stations, so you can also then communicate with the alert or the rescue systems. We also have a system for quick respond to have updated information in an area, like the situation in Gjerdrum, which I shortly mentioned. The rescue, the various rescue parties could put up drones that had a laser aboard, and also infrared to discover, to search for those people lost in the damage. But of course, more and more information and data also has to take into the dynamic perspective. We are not very well situated all over Norway, but it's more and more increasing. and
Okay,
the
yeah.
other system and the
Yes.
mobile phone system and the infrastructure about that. But of course, some areas are not covered yet and don't have the good update risk map either.
Okay, thanks. Oh, I missed one question. There is a question from Sanne Heckman here. How difficult is it to match addresses in a remote area, in holiday homes and so on, when it comes to predicting and also communicating about landslides? How do you address
Well,
people?
we have we have in the address register we have also the holiday homes in the register, and of course you have the mobile systems which are more and more detected if you don't really turn it off. I in my mobile home I get a warning if there is coming a storm or a heavy snow, that I should be looking into the roof of my cabin. So you combine many systems. The insurance company, the electricity companies, the water supply companies do set up this kind of warning systems more and more.
Okay, thanks.
There's also another question I just popped in for the digital twin. How could a three-dimensional register, cadastral register, help digital twin in terms of legal certainty or social sustainable added value? And I think it's addressing the presentation of Magdalena.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Very nice question. Now I have to think if do we need 3D register to help digital twin, or is a digital twin that can help 3D register? I think it's the second, because digital twin is a tool that integrates key registers, can help integrate key registers. So if it's nice combination, then we have improvement of the quality of the data. We make it visible for the people, and we make it understandable for the people. By the innovation group, we talk about, we dream about a digital twin for the Netherlands, like a basic layer that you can open to everyone as a basis to build their own digital twins, to build digital twins per subject on it. And then we can start from combining key registers, 3D cadastre, and make sure that all the key registers, they are now in the silos, are combined with each other, and they form a really powerful base, sustainable base for a future product. So that is how I see it.
Yes, sure. I would like to follow up on that. Digital twin is used in different areas in a different. There is a different understanding, you know. For instance, in the building information modeling, people, they call digital twin is a twin of a building, and that starts with planning the building, with constructing the building, with maintaining the building, with removing the building. The whole life cycle of a building should have a digital twin. So now, what do you think? Of course, this could be lots of data, and perhaps that will be an overload of data for your purposes. Do you have an idea how these different worlds could be connected? On the one hand, you have the 3D cadastre, and then you have that what you call a digital twin, and then you have that what is called a digital twin in the construction industries. So, can you comment on that?
Yeah, honestly, I see it as a ecosystem. So if we take care that the ecosystems can be with each other connected, that's the most important. So let's try to think about this standardization and try to work that the ecosystem can be connected with each other, and then depends on the question, on the problem, or the detail level, then we can use digital twin of different ecosystems. Depends what we are looking for at this moment.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's all the problems we are discussing in spatial and geospatial information management. It's from all perspectives, you end up always in the same challenges, I would say. So, yes, let me see. I think we have, there are no more questions. There is one very nice comment, more or less, from Sana. She writes, Sbola is as pretty in digital twin 3D as it is in real life. I think this is very complimentary word for a digital twin, I would say. So, yeah, I hope in real life it's even richer than what we can have in our digital world. Okay, for Rosario, you made. I have some.
Can I react on that?
Because please, honestly, please.
Okay, thank you. Because honestly, I don't think so that in the reality it's richer. Because in reality, you don't see, for example, what is the quality of the air. You don't see what is underground, and digital twin makes it possible. So okay. I think it's digital twin. It's an extra dimension. It's not only 3D dimension, but it's 4, 5, 6 dimensions.
I absolutely agree. I mean, that was more, how to say, from an emotional point of view said, not from a technical point of view. I'm absolutely with you. That's right. You can see things. When it comes to augmented reality, and so you can combine these words. Yes, thanks for that. Thanks for that. And Rosario, you have, as I understood, you have defined a quite generic framework model, right? And what do you think about implementing this framework? How does it relate to concepts? I mean, you're in GGIM. Perhaps I can ask you that in a concept such as IGIF or spatial data infrastructures and all these ecosystems, as we said here. Can you comment on that?
Of course. Thank you, Harmon. It's an amazing question that you are telling me, because in reality is, okay, the methodology that I propose, it can be applied, but there are a lot of but that should be taken into account. For example, one of that is related to participation of the community. So that is not as easy as it's bare to be said, but to be applied in order to have all the community working together to see what is happening is not that easy. The same about using geographic information. Even we have volunteer geographic information as even is being used, and in my proposal, I include to fulfill the system with that information. It's not the same in some countries than in others. Also to use internet. We realize today we have different problems. So one of the ideas is, okay, to have a platform in order to share all the information with the community, but not all around the world is the same in order to access to internet. And also about another thing that is it can be a problem, but it's a reality, but should be work on that, is in order to prepare the decision makers to understand the relevance of the geographic information. And related with the SDI and related with the United Nations and UNCCIM, we have been working so hard in order for the nations to have also together, to combine, to have the data statistical showing and that can have a territorial or geographic relation. That it sounds so easy, but in reality, our countries are so different, and we have been working hard in order to have them together. So the proposal, I think that it can be done in the future, but we need such little steps. As you said, it's a framework. We have to go step by step in order to consolidate and to have that, in order to make better plans. That is the point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I just read a message here. Thank you for your participation. Please join us in the Ask Me Anything session to continue our discussion.
We have to wrap up, I think. We have to wrap up because it's 9:30 and we are running out of time in this session. But that's why the announcement is there. We will have an Ask Me Anything session after this session. And there we can continue the discussion. The participants can also join us, so we can have a direct debate and dialogue with the participants as well. And I would also like to have some videos there as well to play. So please be invited. And for now, I really thank you for your presentations and your contribution. I realize that we are all in different time zones, ranging from Asia. It's now in the middle of the night. It really vampire hours, I would say, and from Southern America. So you are in the best time zone, I would say.
Yes.
But nevertheless, thank you so much for your contribution, and it was a very interesting discussion. And feel free to join us in the Ask Me Anything session. Follow the link, and if you have any problems, you can also go to hop in, and then on the left-hand side, you see the sessions, and there it's also scheduled. So you can join us there, and we can have an informal chat and some more discussion.
So you have to ask for permission when you enter the session. Then you can say ask to share my video or so, and then we can get you on stage. And please do so. Yes.
Yeah, we will explain there in that session. So I would like to close the session by now, and thank you all for watching and participating. And I hope to see you again in some other sessions in this working week, or perhaps next year. And hopefully we could also meet then, perhaps in person. That would be very nice. So thank you again. And please switch to the other session.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.